You with us this morning. Hurricane Idalia is rapidly intensifying as it closes in on Florida's Gulf Coast.
Millions of Floridians are under hurricane warnings, and officials in the state are urging those in the eye of the storm to evacuate. The National Weather Service says this storm should be taken seriously. It is warning parts of the west coast of Florida and the Florida Panhandle could see life-threatening storm surge, hurricane force winds, and flash flooding. The Tampa International Airport has officially closed ahead of the storm, with commercial flights stopping after midnight. Crews there are working to secure jet bridges, equipment, and aircrafts. And Floridians are bracing themselves for the potentially life-threatening storm. They're making last-minute preparations, gassing up their cars, shoring up their homes, businesses, even boats, ahead of tomorrow's expected landfall.
We've been extremely lucky here in Tampa and have been bypassed by bad ones. And I'm just afraid that our luck is going to run out.
We're tracking the storm for you all morning, bringing you the latest forecast and updates from officials. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson is in Cedar Key, Florida. That's where we're going to start right now. Hey, Priscilla, good morning.
Yeah, Savannah, good morning. This is what the waterfront here in Cedar Key looks like today. It is boarded up windows up and down this street as residents here are up early, continuing those storm preps, bracing for this hurricane, and they are racing against the clock. They have until 4 p.m. today to get out. A life-threatening storm barreling towards Florida's Gulf Coast. As residents brace for impact this morning, Idalia is now a major hurricane. How bad do you think the storm is going to be?
It looks like he's going to be a big one. Even some of our old locals are pretty concerned at this point.
Idalia expected to produce dangerous winds of up to 115 miles per hour, ushering in a potentially deadly 12-foot storm surge.
We now have 5,500 National Guardsmen activated and available.
There are tens of thousands of linemen that will be staged. The goal is to get the power restored as quickly as possible.
Florida residents and the Coast Guard urgently preparing for the impending hurricane. Boarding up homes and businesses, stocking up on supplies, and filling sandbags to protect against storm surge. Some Florida communities still recovering after being battered by Hurricane Ian less than a year ago.
I've got one window that has a small leak. I am, believe it or not, duct taping that, just trying to get ready for this one.
And the governor has issued a state of emergency for 46 of the state's 67 counties, including this one. FEMA is also pre-positioned in the state, and we are seeing dozens of school districts closing schools across the western part of the state and the Panhandle. The Tampa airport has now shut down, and officials here are really urging people to take this seriously and that today, now, is the time to act. Savannah?
All right, Priscilla, thank you so much. Stay safe.
Let's now bring in Harvey L. Ward Jr. He is the mayor of Gainesville, Florida. Mr. Mayor, good to have you with us. So I know you signed an executive order declaring a local state of emergency. First of all, what exactly does that mean for Gainesville, and what are you bracing for?
So thank you. Good morning. We're bracing for a Category 3 hurricane here in Gainesville. You know, the hope is that it doesn't happen that way, but we're Floridians. We know that we have to be prepared. We can't leave it to chance. Our folks are incredibly prepared. Our city staff, county staff, our sheriff's office, our police department, our fire response. We are prepared for this storm. Our people know what to do. But you know, when we won't really know until it comes through. An executive order, an emergency declaration, essentially just gives us the opportunity to act during and after the storm with a little more latitude than we would normally have. It sounds like a much bigger deal than it is as an emergency declaration, but basically it just gives us a little more latitude locally to be able to get things done that need to be done in the moment that we might otherwise need to go through some local legislative work to accomplish.
Gainesville is a little bit inland from where we just saw Priscilla there along the coast. What are the top things you can do to prepare right now? Do you wish you had a little bit more time, or do you feel like you have enough time to get everything done?
So we always would like more time. I would love for us to have several more months before we have to worry about anything like this, but that's not the case. You know, we know how to prepare for a storm. in your home, in your business. That means be ready. Charge up your devices, charge up your batteries, make sure you've got supplies for a few days if, God forbid, the power goes out. Be ready to be self-sufficient for a few days. Check on your neighbors. Have a network of communication set up in your neighborhood and with friends and family who might not be local, so that so everybody knows you're home and safe and that you're well taken care of.
For you, what is your biggest concern? Is it more of a rain concern where you are, or do you still worry about the winds?
So we do worry about winds. Water is always a concern. It's usually the most destructive part of any storm like this. But we're a heavily forested community. We love our trees in Gainesville, and most of the time that's great. But we have not had a major storm come through in a very long time, and that means that our tree canopy is vulnerable. And if tree canopy is vulnerable, then the neighborhoods are vulnerable. So, we're asking folks to make sure you clear out anything that obviously could become a flying object during a storm. Clean the loose objects out of your front yard, your backyard. Bring them inside. Try to, if you see loose limbs or any of that sort of thing, try to get those cleared out before this evening when we need to be going inside and preparing indoors.
Yeah, so on top of that, in these final hours as Hurricane Idalia gets closer, what is just your primary message to people in and around Gainesville?
Be safe. Take this very, very seriously. Even if we see it veer off the current path that puts us in a very difficult position, don't let up. Take it very, very seriously until it is well north of us, because even after it passes, there could still be fertile ground for tornadoes and that sort of thing. Once the soil is soaked, then the trees could fall even without wind. So be very aware for the next several days, and until this storm is well past us, take it very, very seriously.
Gainesville Mayor Harvey L. Ward Jr., thanks for joining us this morning. Stay safe, and we'll keep in touch with you over the coming days.
Thank you so much.
Let's now bring in meteorologist Angie Lassman for more on our storm watch.
Yeah, Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. The mayor making some really good points about the tree canopy and such there. And just to put it into perspective for folks that live in that area, it's been since 1950, before that we've seen a Category 3 hurricane in this area. So a lot of folks not alive during that time may not know how to prepare. And we know that Florida is a hotspot for people to move to. So make sure that you do have those instructions from your local government officials, that you're heeding those warnings, especially when it comes to evacuations. Let's give you the rundown of exactly what's going on with Idalia, because we've seen some minor changes with that latest update that just came out. Winds now up to 80 miles per hour, sitting 135 miles southwest of the Dry Tortugas. That's just offshore of the Florida Keys. And you can see it's looking a little healthier. We're starting to see kind of an eye give a little bit of a peak. And it's moving at 14 miles per hour now, and it's expected to move even faster than that. So that's going to do a couple of things for us. It's still going to keep it over these really warm waters long enough for it to intensify and likely rapidly intensify. We need it to hit 35 mile per hour increase in a 24-hour time frame in order for it to be considered rapid intensification. And we're likely going to see that. It spends some time over that water, but the good news is that because of how fast it's moving, we likely will see less of an impact when it comes to rains. That doesn't mean there won't be an impact, because there still will be, but it'll also spend a little less time over that really warm water. It doesn't change the fact that we've got a Category 3 hurricane that's likely going to impact the Big Bend area. But if you're in that cone, then you need to be aware of exactly what's going on over the next couple of days. So let's talk about the rain. We've still got the potential to see up to a foot of rain in places from the Big Bend stretching out to parts of the Carolinas. We've got high tide. That's going to make a big impact on that coastal flooding. So be aware that flash flooding risk is going to be there through at least Thursday. And on top of that, we've got at the coast what we're really concerned about, that storm surge. We know what happened with our eye storm last year with Hurricane Ian in parts of southwest Florida with the wall of water that came on shore. And anywhere you can see Cedar Key is right in the center of that. 8 to 12 feet is a big deal, guys. We're going to likely see storm surge on the East Coast as well. And of course, those strong winds that the mayor mentioned, knocking down trees, power outages. Make sure you're charging up all your devices and you have extra batteries. All that kind of stuff is going to go a long way in the next couple days.